Read all the stories about BYU sports no one else has heard. Go to KSLSports.com for exclusive columns by BYU insider Mitch Harper. That's KSLSports.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It is 1st and 12 right here on KSL News Radio. Thanks for being with us every Tuesday. We're going to bring you this program 7 to 9 p.m. Mitch Harper kicks things off at 6:30. You've got a special edition of Cougar Tracks also every Tuesday. You getting worked enough, Mitch? You feel like we're abusing your talents, guy?
The daily grind. No, I'm enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun on Cougar Tracks every day on KSL Sports YouTube and here on KSL News Radio. But this is the business we have chosen, and it's a lot of fun. So I enjoy it. And this time of the year, football, it is crazy when week one arrives, because last week, I will say, in the build-up to week 0, it just felt like we were banging our head against the wall, rehashing some of the same storylines, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, the season is never going to get here. And then week 1 arrives, and you prepare all summer for it, and you think, okay, I'm not going to feel like there's too much, and like your schedule's all stretched thin, but it always happens. That's what college football does. It's always there's something about this sport compared to others where everything just feels tense. It feels on edge, and it just feels like stakes are so high. And
more so in week 1, right, where you have no clue what you're going to get from your team or from the teams that you're following.
So true.
I don't know why, but we convince ourselves that the best teams in the Big 12, Mitch, are going to go, everyone's going to be 7-2 by the end of this thing, but that's not mathematically how this is going to work. I really am not. I'm really hoping that there's not a 7-2 situation, because, look, here's who you're competing against. You're competing against the ACC. They got the 2 bids. There's not room for the ACC and the Big 12 to have 2 bids every year. There's no room for it. And BYU saw themselves on the outside looking in. It's unfortunate that when you lose a game on your schedule, like, not to whom, it's about when you lose those games. They lost those 2 to Kansas and Arizona State week to week, back-to-back games. But the reality was they had a way better they had a way better argument to make this college football playoff than SMU did. But when they lost, the games mattered, which is a weird thing. I'm interested to see how the college football playoff thing, and we can talk about that at another point, how those new metrics are going to add up for this Big 12. But actual games getting played this week, and big ones if you're on the schedule. You've got your pick for a game of the week, and I've got my own.
I do, and I think it's on Friday night on the banks of the Brazos River at McLean Stadium in Waco. There's going to be a blackout. There's going to be gold chrome helmets. It's going to be a drone show. Baylor is rolling out all the stops as they host Auburn Friday night, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 o'clock in Waco, Texas on Fox. And hopefully you don't have YouTube TV, because you might not be able to watch that game. That was crazy.
That is weird. I mean, look, all the things that you've signed up to watch games on, you're going to have some beefs between contracts between some of these
always
networks, and it might be going dark for you, because the Utah UCLA game and this Baylor Auburn game, you could be blacked out of both of them if you're a YouTube TV watcher. Man.
But I'm so excited for this game because when you talk about the SEC and how they kind of just swallow up all the oxygen of the sport.
Yeah,
Greg Sankey. There's no mic that he doesn't like. He's always talking. Then you got the Big Ten. They never speak, and they just quietly lurk in the weeds and want to dictate everything in the sport. But the SEC thinks they run everything, yet they haven't won the national title, haven't even played for a national title the last 2 years. And you know what? A team like Baylor, who could be, middle of the road in the Big 12, but also is good enough potentially to win it, just like many in this league, be a nice piece for this conference to just say, hey, taking down an SEC team. These non-conference matchups are critical for the Big 12 as they continue to move forward in this 16-team era to take care of business. And I think Baylor last year was excellent. They were one of the best offenses in the country last season at season's end. But, they had that bowl game against LSU where they underwhelmed. They were a favorite in that one, and they just got kind of outclassed with the athletes. And I think Auburn, with Jackson Arnold coming in from Oklahoma, I think they're going to be a pleasant surprise with Hugh Freeze. I think they're recruiting excellent. So this would be a huge win for Baylor if they could get it done. And honestly, it might be potentially their best win for Dave Aranda since the Sugar Bowl season in 2021 if they could get it. So I look at this just as a huge game to really kind of start to learn if Baylor is for real or not in the Big 12. And this is going to be one that kind of tells that story to me.
The thing about this game is it's a great time to get Auburn. because Hugh Freeze is doing a terrible job right now. He's not. Listen,
both teams are kind of boom or bust this year.
Yeah, and Auburn's, I think, a lot worse. I mean, he had the negative press in the offseason because everyone saw his golf scores that he was posting on the USGA site, and then everyone's like, "Why aren't you freaking recruiting, man?" And all the coaches are like, "Why are you putting your scores in?" He's like, "I want to get my handicap down."
That's what we need in the Big 12. We need to start hounding these coaches with the golf scores. That's the next level we need.
But here's the real problem. Is that Hugh Freeze and Auburn were 15th in recruiting in the offseason. That's Auburn, dude. This is a national champion in 2010 team. Yeah. This is not that far removed from greatness, and they're a sneeze away every year from having the best talent across the board. And I think that Hugh Freeze kind of got through the Liberty situation and rested on those laurels. I don't think that he's going to last long at Auburn. And Baylor, it's a great time to get him because you get him at home, you get him at your place, right? And they're struggling a little bit, and they're wondering what they're going to look like. And they know people are looking at them that they could absolutely steal one from Baylor because of all the talent that does come in. But when you're losing recruiting battles, I think in the next couple of years you're going to see this Auburn team fall off. And I really hope Baylor gets them and shows everybody else like, hey, they mean business. From a local perspective, Utah versus UCLA, that's my pick. That's my favorite for this weekend because I just want to see what Devin Dampier brings and to see what the quarterback situation is at UCLA too. We chatted with their sideline guy that we chat with every year. Oh my goodness, what was his Wayne Cook? Wayne Cook, who used to be a quarterback there at UCLA, and he's like, look, I'm excited for what I see. Deshaun Foster, speaking of guys on hot seats, I mean, he's got to do some things. He's got to make some hay here. The UCLA Bruins are a program that should not be laughed at, and here we are. And it's not a program that's on the up and up, and they're in the Big Ten, and so they're going to be in the bottom quarter of that conference forever if they can't change things. And then you've got Utah coming in going, oh, we come into the Rose Bowl and we absolutely dominate you guys. That's the history of Utah versus UCLA. And I think Kyle Whittingham looks and goes, and we chatted about it this week. You remember when Joe Williams ran all over UCLA for 332 yards?
Out of retirement.
Out of retirement. You remember when he did that back in 2016? I was like, Kyle Whittingham would be drooling to get his offense running the football for 300 yards against UCLA and going, you're welcome. We're just going to run this thing across the goal line.
We would probably be drooling, too, if they got the performance from the last time Utah and UCLA met as non-conference teams. So you remember that game? 2007. Remember old Tommy Grady going ballistic on UCLA. It's been 18 years since these two former Pac-12 foes met as non-conference teams. And you know, probably Mark Harlan loved rekindling some old Pac-12 rival. There's that subplot for the Utes going into this year, too. But I think this will be interesting. I'm really curious to see what Utah does with their interior, the defensive line. Losing Keanu Tanavasa was a big deal. They're going to turn to some younger guys. They got Pupu, who's going to probably be a really good player in the middle. They got Vakalahi and Viamahi. So they've got some talent. You expect Utah's going to be good there. But I think it's one of the bigger question marks in the interior of a defensive line than I've seen in years since Utah was a Power 4 team on the interior of that defensive line. So, and then you got the story of Nico for UCLA. So that is a huge game. Late night, 9 p.m. That's going to be a good one on Fox, Utah and UCLA.
I love how we're all saying just Nico. No one wants to say Imaliava.
Yeah.
Or however we're going to say it.
Imaliava?
Imaliava. Get Greg Wrubell in here and start on the pronunciations for us. We're screwing this thing up too much.
I usually try to do well with those, but I can't get his. No, I just can't.
Especially while you're just on the fly, it's not good. You know why? You just go, Nico, great guy. Nico's a great guy. All right, we've got hour number 2 coming up around the corner. We've got ourselves our Big 12 power rankings, first ones of the year. You can't hold us down, Big 12. We're going to do our media poll anyway. Our Big 12 sound round up on top of it, all the sound from across the conference. We're keeping you ready right here. It is First and 12 right here on KSL News Radio. Take a listen. You can stream it online. You can also just listen to it in your car. Whatever you want to do, go back and listen to the podcast version of the program as well. Stay right here with us. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry. It is First and 12.